Think Ather and a narrow but sporty and quick scooter comes to mind. A scooter that's reliable but not the most comfortable or practical. The latter two is something of TVS's iQube's territory. But Ather wants to change that. It doesn't just want to appeal to you anymore with its 450X. It also wants to get your mother, your sister, your father, maybe even your grandparents to ride its scooters. And it's going to do that with this, the Rizta. This is Ather's attempt at getting a pie or, stopping the party of the ever increasing popularity of the Olas and the TVS iQubes. But can it do that? For that, it needs to check some fixed or firm boxes. And in this review, we'll tell you whether it actually manages to do that or not. Now, before we find out if the Rizta actually checks those boxes, let's step back a little and look at its genesis. Now, it might look completely different from the 450X, but this is not an all-new scooter. Underneath this bodywork, it is in fact the 450X. So the mechanicals, the powertrain, all of that has been carried over. And that's really not a bad thing because, like we said at the start of the film, that the 450X is a quick scooter, it's a fun to ride scooter, it's a reliable scooter. So all of that will get translated onto the Rizta just because it's sharing the platform. However, the challenge is that because you already have an existing platform and you want to build in some practicality into it, it completely, the design completely takes a backseat, and that shows on the Rizta. It's not a very appealing design. It's not a, like a polarizing design or something that will draw an opinion like the 450Xs. This is a little staid. And if you look closely, you'll find that there are a few compromises in design which could have been done without. For instance, they wanted a long seat. They wanted more storage under the seat because they wanted to increase the practicality of the scooter, making it more towards, being family oriented. And because of that, you will find that there's a lot of bodywork that's going behind the rear wheel, and that's not really pleasing to the eye. On a two-wheeler, you want the whole scooter or the motorcycle to be between the wheels, and there's so much of it outside. So visually, it looks like undertired. It looks like it's got really weak legs and a big body. But apart from that, it is, in terms of quality, is also something that we thought Ather could have done better. It's not like it's really poor, but there are places where, the quality of plastics, the fit and finish needs serious looking into. It's not a cheap scooter. It's still, compared to ICE, where it's going to sit or where it's going to compete against, or even compared to the iQube or the Ola. There are a few things that it could have done better in terms of quality, in terms of visual appeal. But yes, given that practicality was the main goal for this scooter, for it to be family oriented, I think the compromise in design, the compromise in visual appeal is something we can adjust. Now let's start seeing if the Rizta actually checks the boxes for it to qualify as a good family scooter, and it begins with seating comfort. Firstly, it has a low seat height, so it's very easy to swing a leg over. Now, I'm 5'8", so I'm pretty much an average Indian male. And for me, I can firmly put both my feet on the ground. I have enough support on the thigh. I'm not, moving around so much to be able to do that. And then when I put it up on the floorboard, yes, the distance between the floorboard and the seat still isn't enough. So you're still lacking a bit of thigh support, but it is better than what you get on the 450X. But crucially, you've got a handlebar position that is more upright. So when you make full lock turns, it's still going into your thigh, but it's easily fixed by just moving it a little. So when you're riding alone, it won't be so much of a problem. But when you're riding with a pillion and they're using this footrest, then chances are full lock turns might still be a problem. But overall, seating comfort is all right. It's not class leading in any way. It doesn't set any new benchmarks. And so if you're going to spend time riding this scooter for, let's say, over 30 minutes or so, chances are that you'll have to keep adjusting yourself to remain comfortable. And because it's got such a huge seat, I don't think that's going to be so much of a challenge. Plus, the seat itself is a little firm, so when you spend longer time in the seat, it's going to remain comfortable. It's not going to start hurting your bottom. So overall, I would say it's a little better than average, but it again could have been better for it to be a well-rounded family scooter. Now let's talk practicality, because the whole premise of the Rizta is that it is a practical family scooter. And you can see that there is a lot more storage space on the floorboard, which is essential for any family scooter because you end up carrying stuff here. And you also get an additional hook just in case if you want to hang the shopping bags. But that's not all. Ather also wanted to offer good under-seat storage. And for that reason, you see the end result is this really long seat. Now let's look at the storage space under. There are two slots, one to keep smaller things. Here we've got a phone that the Ather is connected to, apart from the medical kit. And you can also get yourself an organizer, which isn't part of the standard fitment is what I understand, but otherwise the boot space here is actually quite impressive. But storage is only part of what makes a family scooter practical. The other bit, of course, is, the seat length. Now, this is the outcome of a bigger storage, but the end result is that now, if you are traveling with somebody, you've already put some stuff here, you've already loaded the boot, and you still have your backpack, you can sit and ride with the backpack and have space for the pillion. So you don't end up holding it, the pillion is not uncomfortable with those kind of things. So it is a happy outcome. I don't know whether this was the plan, but clearly this long seat helps in that regard. Now that is the practical aspect about the scooter. Now let's talk features, because at the end of the day, if you're going to use the scooter, if different people in the house are going to use the scooter, there are different features that they might appreciate. There is no touchscreen system here, so you have to operate it via a toggle. And there aren't a lot of things that you can do here, but basically you can connect your phone via Bluetooth, and that gives you access to navigation, that gives you access to call alerts, that gives you access to even WhatsApp messages, which of course you can't read when you're moving, but when you come to a stop, you can read them. You can also employ Alexa to reply to those messages. So there is a fair bit of connectivity built into it, which you'd expect in a scooter like this. Otherwise, other features, of course, you've got the reverse function to help you get out of parking, and you've got two ride modes, Smart, Eco, and Zip, what you can get on the screen using this toggle switch here. And you've got, like I said at the start, this is based, or it uses the same platform as the 450X, and therefore you get this similar braking setup, similar wheels. So you've got combined braking here, no ABS, given the category it's going to fall in. So there is no real requirement from the government for Ather to provide that. Now, if this is a family scooter, practicality and storage spaces and features is one thing, but everybody in the house is going to use the scooter, and not everybody is going to be equally strong, which means the scooter must be light enough to maneuver, not just when you're sitting, but otherwise as well. And on that front, I think the balance of the Ather and the overall weight is not going to be a problem no matter who in the family uses it. It is extremely easy to move it around. And even though it's an electric and all the weight is down, so it is heavier than a similarly sized iScooter maybe, but it really is no bother at all. So no matter in the family who's using it, I don't think anybody is going to struggle with this scooter. And on practicality front, clearly, it's done a really good job. Now, when it comes to the powertrain options, there are 3 configurations one can choose from. All 3 get the same motor, so the power, torque, top speed and acceleration figures are identical for the 3. The max power is rated at 4.3 kilowatt or around 6 bhp. The max torque is 22 Newton meters and the claimed top speed is 80 kilometers per hour. Ather also says all 3 versions weigh the same and have an identical 0 to 40 km per hour time of 4.7 seconds. These do, however, get different size battery packs. The base S version gets a 2.9 kilowatt battery but doesn't get the fancier instrumentation. The Z version gets the fancier console and can be had with 2 different battery sizes, a 2.9 and a 3.7 kilowatt pack. We have the smaller 2.9 kilowatt version here. Claimed range for this version is 123 kilometers against 159 for the one with the 3.7 kilowatt hour battery. Now, when it comes to riding, 2 things become abundantly clear. You don't want to use the Smart Eco mode unless you really need to get somewhere and you're really low on range, because the Smart Eco mode really is a test of your patience. The other bit is the ride quality. Now, this is based on the 450X and that sportiness has been carried forward here. So not everybody in the family is going to enjoy that stiff ride that this lends. So if you're slightly older and you're having some back issues, chances are every time you get on the Rizta, you're not going to like it. But that apart, it is a lovely scooter to ride because it's quick, it's nimble, it feels absolutely stable and planted in a straight line. Not that you go very fast with this, 80 kilometers per hour is its top speed, but it feels absolutely firm and well engineered on that front. It also feels very organic or very intuitive in the way it responds. So you take the throttle response, you take the way the brakes work, you don't really need to relearn anything. It falls exactly as you'd expect. Now, we ride all sorts of two-wheelers, and for us to feel that the Rizta falls into that bracket without a challenge really goes to show that in terms of how it's been engineered and calibrated in terms of ride and its power delivery and how it reacts to our inputs, I think it is, there's no real complaint there. It's a job well done. Now let's begin with the good things about the Rizta. This one retails for 1,24,000 for the Z version that we have here with the 2.9 kilowatt battery pack. And the iQube, its main competition, the TVS iQube mid-variant, the S variant retails for 1,57,000 ex-showroom. Yes, the iQube gets a bigger battery, and but somehow it doesn't have a longer range to show for it. The iQube is also marginally quicker in the 0 to 40 km per hour acceleration run, possibly because of the higher usable or rated torque, but it is also marginally slower, so to say, when it comes to the top speed. So all in all, it's a little give and a little take, but the price difference between the Rizta and the iQube firmly makes the Rizta the better value proposition. The challenge for the Rizta is actually twofold. One is its design. It's not the most appealing looking scooter, and when you're buying a two-wheeler today, you want a good looking thing parked in your garage. The second challenge is its ride quality. Not everybody in the family is going to enjoy that stiff ride, especially if you have to deal with broken roads more often than not. But are these big rejection reasons? Well, that's something probably the Rizta's sales figures will tell us over time. But in my book, I don't think these are big enough reasons for you to reject what is otherwise a very well-rounded scooter.